All right, a new piece of technology produced by the Pentagon has privacy advocates worried. It's a laser that can identify you from over 200 yards out based on your heartbeat. Contact infrared sensors used by U.S. special operators in combat zones to identify terror targets claim to be over 95% accurate, unlike facial recognition technology. But where might this technology land outside of the hands of U.S. forces? Joining us to discuss, investigative journalist Ben Swann. All right, Ben, so we know that biometric identification is the direction the world is moving. Tell us a little bit how this thing works.
Yeah, so this is a similar type of thing. It's using what's called a cardiac signature. So your cardiac signature, my cardiac signature are very different from each other. And apparently a lot of it has to do with the way you walk that determines how blood is pumping through your system. And it's unique to you. What's fascinating about this is it's another form of identifying people that uses technology and uses essentially a laser, as you said, to be able to map and monitor and recognize that particular unique cardiac signature. So what U.S. Special Forces are looking at it for is essentially to identify people to kill. I know that sounds terrible, but that's what they want to use it for, so that they can spot someone, and instead of using just facial recognition, which requires, you know, a straight-on look at the face, and that's difficult to get in a war zone or in a battlefield, it would also kind of add to their cache of tools to say, here is another way of identifying someone. You can't do it from space. You have to be relatively close right now, and they can't even be wearing a heavy coat in order to do it. So it's pretty limited in what it can do. It's an interesting technology nonetheless.
For now, it's limited for now. I think that we should underscore that part. But the inventors say that this technology, Ben, could be used for other good things, like doctors scanning for arrhythmias or conditions remotely, or hospitals that can check your heart faster without all these, you know, wires and cables. But what if it falls into like the wrong hands, like inevitably everything does?
Everything does. So any technology that's being created for any purpose, whether it's on a battlefield, and you can argue that's already the wrong use of technology, or it's being created by a hospital. Either way, that technology is going to be used and in many cases abused by other people. When you take a look specifically at this issue, what's fascinating about it is that it can be used in so many different ways, and the ways that are being dictated right now where it could be used in the future is only a could. Yeah. There's actually no use right now for this in terms of monitoring patients who have heart conditions and saying, well, you won't have to be wired to a machine. We'll be able to monitor, you know, your different your blood flow and your heart rate and all that. And again, this requires that you be sitting down, that you be still at the time, and that the laser be relatively close to you. Are you going to be sitting in your house with a laser pointed at your chest in order for a doctor someplace to monitor you? It sounds pretty invasive. Yeah,
I mean, obviously this is just the beginning, so it's opening doors to other things that they can possibly derive from this advancement already. So they're calling it Jetson. Obviously, kind of funny to, you know, people of a certain generation that understand the joke. Jetson can, as you mentioned, scan through clothes, maybe not through gigantic, thick clothing or maybe flak vests. But what about the privacy concerns there? Because you remember when at the airports when they implemented the full body scan, the uproar about that.
Yeah, so here's the question. If I have my little laser and I'm pointing it at Manila Chan, how am I going to know it's Manila? The only way I would know that it's you is if I have already scanned you and made a permanent record identifying you and connecting you to that cardiac signature. That's the only way I'd have it. And so, again, this goes back to the same concept of iris scans, facial recognition, biotechnology across the board, right? It all comes down to cataloging. And this is another example where if this were to be effective, there would have to be massive catalogs tying you to this cardiac signature so that it can be later compared and matched to something else. And again, this goes back to that same concept. Instead of calling it Jetson, they should have called it Orwell, right? Because it fits into that same concept of government and military cataloging millions upon hundreds of millions of people in order to be able to later match them to this. And right now, again, the only practical use for it is to identify a target, to essentially take out that target. I don't want my cardiac signature being cataloged, certainly for that purpose, probably not for any other.
And you know what, but you know who I have a feeling will start using it first? Health insurance companies.
Right. Probably so.
You know where I'm going there. All right, that's
right.
a chat for another day.
They're trying to kill us anyway.
All right, my friend. Ben Swann, thank you.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.